Have you ever stopped to consider why some men seem to possess a natural magnetism while you struggle to get a second glance? Ever wondered what's the secret of that guy who walks into any room and automatically becomes the center of female attention? I'm going to tell you something that will completely change your perspective on attraction and seduction. What separates men who attract women naturally from those who remain in the friend zone isn't looks, it's not money, it's not status. It's something much deeper and more powerful. It's one single thing that, when mastered, transforms any ordinary man into someone irresistible. And the best part, it's within reach of anyone willing to do the necessary internal work. First, let's talk about the big lie they sold you about seduction. You've probably heard that you need to memorize pickup lines, that you need to pretend to be someone you're not, that you need to impress with expensive gifts or exaggerated displays of interest. That's all garbage, pure waste of time. The truth is that high-value women can smell fakeness from miles away. They've seen all the tricks, heard all the memorized pickup lines, received all the generic Instagram messages. What they really look for is genuine masculine authenticity. And that's not something you fake, it's built from the inside out. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you caught yourself modifying your behavior to please a woman? How many times have you agreed with something you didn't believe just to avoid conflict? How many times have you avoided expressing your true opinion for fear of rejection? Every time you do this, you're killing your natural attractiveness. You're turning into another generic, predictable, insubstantial guy. And women aren't attracted to men without substance. They're attracted to men who know who they are and aren't afraid to show it to the world. The transformation begins when you understand that seduction isn't about doing something to get something from someone. Seduction is about becoming someone so interesting, so authentic, so comfortable with himself that people naturally gravitate toward him. It's about developing such a strong presence that your energy speaks before you even open your mouth. And that doesn't happen overnight. It's a process that requires commitment, brutal honesty with yourself, and a willingness to step outside your comfort zone. Let me tell you a quick story. I met a guy a few years ago who was the typical example of what not to do. He spent a fortune on designer clothes, drove an imported car he could barely afford, frequented the most expensive places in town. He did all this thinking he would impress women. You know what happened? He only attracted gold diggers and superficial women. The truly valuable women, the ones every man dreams of having by his side, stayed away from him. Why? Because all that ostentation screamed insecurity. It screamed that he didn't think he was good enough on his own. Now contrast that with another friend of mine. Simple guy, basic but well-maintained clothes, a regular car. But when he walked into a room, women noticed. Not because he did anything special, but because he exuded genuine confidence. He didn't need to prove anything to anyone. He knew his worth, and it showed in every gesture, every word, every look. The most incredible women competed for his attention, and he did nothing but be authentically himself. Second, we need to talk about the biggest killer of male attraction there is. It's something that practically every man does without realizing it, and that instantly puts you in the category of low-value man in the eyes of women. I'm talking about the desperate need for validation. You know when you send a text and keep checking your phone every 5 minutes waiting for a reply. When you post something on Instagram and obsess over how many likes you're going to get. When you change your plans just because she suggested doing something else. All of this communicates one devastating message to the female subconscious. This man has no life of his own, no purpose, no intrinsic value. Women are biologically programmed to be attracted to men who demonstrate leadership, independence, and emotional self-sufficiency. When you act as if your happiness depends on her approval, you're communicating the exact opposite. You're saying that you're emotionally dependent, that you can't support yourself, that you need someone to validate your existence. And that's profoundly unattractive on a primal level. The irony is that the less you need female approval, the more you receive. The less you care about external validation, the more validation you attract. It's a paradox that confuses most men, but it makes perfect sense when you understand the psychology behind it. Women want to be with men who choose to be with them, not men who need to be with them. There's a fundamental difference between wanting and needing, and That difference determines whether you'll be seen as a high-value man or just another emotional, needy guy. Think of all the times you acted out of need instead of choice. All the times you said yes when you wanted to say no. All the times you changed who you were to fit what you thought she wanted. Each of those times you were moving away from your authentic masculine power. You were transforming into a diluted version of yourself, and diluted versions don't attract anyone of value. If you're enjoying these truths that few men have the courage to admit, leave a like now and comment on the moment you realized you were acting out of validation. Sharing this is the first step towards real change. Third, let's delve into the most misunderstood concept when it comes to female attraction. Most men believe they need to be perfect to attract quality women. They think they need to have the perfect body, the perfect job, the perfect apartment, the perfect life. This pursuit of perfection is not only impossible but also profoundly unattractive. You know why? Because perfection is boring. Perfection is predictable. Perfection has no story, no depth, no soul. What really attracts high-value women is authenticity with all its imperfections. It's the courage to be vulnerable, to show your flaws, to admit your mistakes, to share your struggles. But pay attention. I'm not talking about whining or making a drama. I'm talking about ownership, responsibility, emotional maturity to recognize where you went wrong and what you're doing to improve. When you hide your imperfections, you're creating a mask. And masks, no matter how beautiful, prevent real connection. Intelligent women know that everyone has flaws. When you pretend you don't have any, she knows you're lying. And if you lie about that, what else are you lying about? Distrust sets in before you even have a real chance. Now, when you own your imperfections with confidence, something magical happens. You become real. You become tangible. You become someone she can truly connect with. Your struggles become bridges of connection, not walls of separation. Your vulnerabilities become demonstrations of strength, not weakness. It takes much more courage to be real than to pretend to be perfect. Let me give you a practical example. I know a guy who's been bald since his 20s. For years he wore hats, tried implants, spent a fortune on treatments. He lived with shame, always trying to hide it. You know what happened when he finally accepted it and shaved it all off? When he started making jokes about his own baldness? When he stopped being ashamed? His love life exploded. Not because he became more handsome, but because he became more authentic. Because he showed that he was confident enough to own who he was without excuses. Fourth, we need to destroy another devastating myth that keeps most men trapped in relational mediocrity. It's the idea that you need to conquer women. This conquest mentality transforms interactions into games, women into prizes, and you into a desperate competitor. When you see seduction as conquest, you automatically put yourself in an inferior position. You're saying that she has something you need to grab, that she's the prize, and you're just someone trying to win that prize. The reality is that mutual attraction happens when two high-value people recognize each other. It's not about conquering anyone. It's about becoming someone who naturally attracts quality people. It's about raising your own value to the point where you don't need to conquer anyone because the right people naturally want to be with you. This completely changes the dynamic. Instead of thinking about what you can do to impress her, you start thinking about whether she's someone worth having in your life. Instead of wondering if you're good enough for her, you wonder if she's good enough for you. Instead of trying to prove your worth, you simply live your worth and see who can keep up. When you stop seeing women as conquests and start seeing them as complex human beings with their own qualities and flaws, something fundamental changes. You stop putting them on a pedestal. You stop acting as if they are superior beings whose approval you desperately need. You start interacting as equals, and that's where real chemistry happens. High-value women don't want to be conquered. They want to be chosen by men who have options. They want to feel that you're with them because you genuinely appreciate them, not because you're desperate for any woman who gives you attention. When you have an abundance mentality, when you know that there are millions of incredible women in the world, you naturally become more selective, and being selective is incredibly attractive. Think about the difference between a man who accepts any woman who shows interest and a man who has clear standards about the type of person he allows into his life. Which one do you think attracts higher quality? Women. The answer is obvious. High-value women want high-value men, and high-value men don't accept just anyone because she's pretty or available. Now, this doesn't mean being arrogant or disrespectful. It means being clear about your values, your goals, your life purpose, and seeking someone who complements that. Not someone you need to impress at all costs. It means understanding that you are also a prize, that you also have a lot to offer, that she also needs to prove she deserves to be with you. Fifth, and most importantly, let's talk about the element that separates men who have lasting success with women from those who keep jumping from failure to failure. It's purpose. A man without purpose is like a ship without a rudder, sailing without direction, at the mercy of any wind that blows. And women instinctively run away from men without direction. Your purpose isn't about women. Your purpose is about you, about your life mission, about the legacy you want to leave in the world. It could be building a business, mastering an art, contributing to a cause, creating something meaningful. What matters is that it's something bigger than you, something that motivates you to wake up every day with energy, something that gives you direction and meaning. When you have a clear purpose, everything changes. Your posture changes, your gaze changes, your energy changes. You stop orbiting around women because you have something more important to do. You stop obsessively checking your phone because you're busy building something meaningful. You stop despairing for female attention because your validation comes from progressing toward your goals. And here's the final paradox. When you stop making women your priority and start making your purpose your priority, women naturally want to be part of your journey. They want to be with the man who's building something, not the man who's waiting for someone to give meaning to his empty life. A man with purpose is sexy on a fundamental level because he represents security, direction, leadership. He won't fall apart if she doesn't reply to a message because he has more important things to worry about. He won't suffocate her with emotional need because his fulfillment comes from his work, not the relationship. He won't get lost in the relationship because he knows exactly who he is and where he's going. Think of the most attractive men in history. They weren't the most handsome or the richest. They were the ones who had a mission. They were the ones who were changing the world, creating art, leading movements, building empires. Women weren't their focus. They were a natural consequence of living meaningful lives. This brings us to the crucial point I want to leave you with. The one thing high-value men do differently is that they live for themselves first. They build lives that satisfy them regardless of whether they have a woman by their side or not. They develop skills, cultivate hobbies, maintain friendships, pursue goals, grow constantly. They become the best version of themselves, not to impress women, but because that's the only worthy way to live. When you live like this, when you become genuinely interesting, genuinely valuable, genuinely authentic, you no longer need to worry about seduction techniques. You become the seduction itself. Your life becomes the aphrodisiac. Your authenticity becomes the magnet. Your purpose becomes the differentiator. Now, if you've come this far, it's because something in this message resonated with you. It's because you're tired of the games, the masks, the frustrations. It's because you're ready for real change. So here's my final challenge for you. Stop consuming seduction content and start building a life worth living. Stop looking for the perfect technique and start working on becoming a genuinely high-value man. Identify your purpose. It may take time, it may be difficult, but it's the most important thing you can do for yourself. Develop real skills, learn something new, master a craft, become excellent at something. Take care of your body and mind. Exercise, meditate, read, grow. Build genuine relationships with other men. Have real friends, not just acquaintances. Set clear boundaries. Learn to say no, learn to value yourself. Learn not to accept less than you deserve. And most importantly, stop doing all this to attract women. Do it because that's the right way to live. Do it because you deserve to live a fulfilling life. Do it because at the end of life, what will matter is not how many women you conquered, but what kind of man you became. Comment now on the biggest truth you discovered in this video. What impacted you the most? What are you going to change starting today? And if this content made a difference for you, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the next videos where we'll delve even deeper into these concepts. The change starts now. The choice is yours. Will you continue to be another, one in the crowd of men desperate for female validation, or will you join the elite of men who live extraordinary lives and naturally attract extraordinary people? The clock is ticking. Your life is passing. It's time to stop talking and start acting. It's time to stop consuming and start building. It's time to stop pretending and start being. Remember, at the end of the day, the only person you need to impress is the man you see in the mirror every morning. When you win his respect, when you become someone you genuinely admire, everything else falls into place naturally. Incredible women appear. Opportunities arise. Life opens up. But it all starts with a decision. The decision to stop looking for shortcuts and start walking the path of genuine development. That's the secret that high-value men know. That's the one thing they do differently. They don't try to attract women. They become men who naturally attract everything good that life has to offer. And now you know it too. The question is, what are you going to do with this knowledge? Because knowledge without action is just entertainment. And you didn't come this far just to be entertained. You came this far to change, so change. Start today, start now. Your future self is waiting.